Hey everybody, and welcome back to the Victoria Marie YouTube channel. I'm Victoria, and around here we play with scrapbooking and paper crafting and all of the above. I'm so glad that you're joining me for today's Wednesday live. We are going to be working on a Valentine's themed mini album. Now, this is something that I haven't done in a very long time. I usually, when I'm making mini albums, if you think like December Daily or just like 6x8 album with the pockets and the whole nine. But it's been a while since I've just like made a mini album using like chipboard and just pattern paper and putting together a cute little album of my own. So that's what I'm going to do, and I'll tell you why I'm going to make this project here in just a few. Make sure you drop a hello in the comment section, the chat section. Hello, I see a lot of familiar names, familiar faces. So glad that you guys are here with me today. And if you are new, welcome. I'm so glad that you are here. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. And when you do, click the bell. That way YouTube will let you know that you enjoy this content and that you want to be notified whenever we go live and post new content here to the channel. It is very cold here in Fort Worth, Texas, where I reside. We are expecting some more flurries here within the next hour or so. So we'll let you know that our cable company, my internet provider, has sent out a notice to let us know that it could be possible for outages. So if for whatever reason this live stream ends abruptly, don't worry. Either if I'm able to get back on, I will. And if not, then we'll just see each other next Wednesday. It's just what it is. It is really, really cold. Actually, it's not as cold as it was the past couple of days. It's about 30 degrees right now here in the Metroplex. I'm looking out my window. I see a little bit of precip. It's supposed to be, some flurries over the next few hours. And in Texas, we don't get the fluffy stuff. We get ice. We get ice. And it covers our roads. We're a commuter state. We don't get this type of weather often. And usually when we do, it's around this time of the year. And it's very icy. It gets very icy. And we are a commuter state, which means people usually don't live close to where they work and they're having to drive in. Or we have kids and families that live in more rural areas, and so they have to commute in. So when it ice, it literally shuts the city down, shuts the state down. So I know that some of you are experiencing some inclement weather as well throughout, particularly here in the U.S. Hello, everybody. Hi, so glad that you're here. So we're just trying to stay warm and do our thing. I'm kind of like, when you work at home and then when you're forced to stay at home, you kind of get tired. Being at home, I kind of want to venture out. I've been looking to see, checking the traffic, whatever. We're just going to stay home. And our neighborhood hasn't been treated at all. So our roads are really slick in our neighborhood. And my driveway is kind of like slightly slanted. So I could just see myself just kind of sliding out of my garage. I'll just stay home. Oh, hello. Yeah, some of it's cold, super icy in Texas. Yeah, we have our highway systems have a lot of overpasses. And so people have been stuck on overpasses and big trucks. And oh man, it gets really dangerous. I know people make fun of us here in the South because we don't, certain southern states, we don't get a lot of snow or whatever. But a lot of times we get icy conditions. And then, as a result, we have potholes, and just the infrastructure here in Texas is crazy. We're never prepared for this at all. The electric grid needs to be dealt with. Yes, you are absolutely right, Diane. We've had a major issue with that about a year or so ago. Where we had one of our major, every once in a blue moon, snow and ice storms, and the infrastructure here in Texas just completely collapsed. And it was really, really bad. Really bad. And the Texas legislature was supposed to have addressed it. So we'll see. Yeah, 30 degrees right now. 30 degrees is what the temperature is when I last checked it. But you know what? It was colder during Christmas holiday than it is now. We had a really, really deep freeze during Christmas, but no precip. Hello, negative 30 degrees. Oh my God, that's so cold, Heather. That's so cold. I couldn't imagine. I'm not a super cold weather person at all. But yeah, 2 years ago in January, yeah, Susan, it was crazy. Supposed to get more in the next few hours, yeah. Yeah, we were out of heat for days. A lot. We were actually in my subdivision, we were pretty lucky during that major ice storm. But there were some areas that were not so lucky, and there were some fatalities too. It was really sad. So anyway, we're trying to stay warm and trying to do the thing. But today we're going to warm our hearts because we're doing a Valentine's theme project today. So my idea for this was I have some Valentine's goodies, and I was sent this collection. Let me change my little screen here. Oh, come on, Victoria, learn how to work your technology. I was sent the Simple Stories Heart Eyes collection to work on for a project for scrapbooking cards today. And this was for the winter issue. And I also have some stuff in my stash, not a lot, just like a little envelope of things that are Valentine's themed that I don't use often because, I mean, how often are we scrapbooking Valentine's stories? And so every year I usually will do a layout about my daughter and her birthday because I went into labor with her on Valentine's Day. And so I'll do a layout on the 14th, celebrating Valentine's, and that, you know, she was my best Valentine, outside of my spouse, clearly. And then I do another layout for her birthday, which is the 15th. So she will be turning 13 years old. Now, those of you who have been with me for a long time, when I started this channel, Corinne was a preschooler. And so she's going to be 13 this month, if you can believe it. It's wild. It's wild. Where did the days go? So usually I will scrapbook about those two things, her birthday, and then of course the fact that I went into labor with her on Valentine's Day, and I do a picture of her and the whole nine. So one of the things I'm focused on this year is to provide more content to inspire you to use your stash. And what inevitably would have happened after I worked with this collection, it would have just gone into my stash, and then I probably wouldn't have used it again until the previous year, even if I decided to use it on a project. So I've been thinking about doing a mini album project where I talk about the things that I love. And so it can be people that I love, things that I love, stuff that I've loved over the years, stuff that I used to love as a kid or whatever. And I could see this kind of being a thing every February. Somebody, I don't know if it was in my virtual crop or in the Victoria Marie Facebook group, but they mentioned that they like to do something akin to a December daily, but they do it for February, where they create an album that focuses on kind of more of a love theme and that type of thing for February. And I thought that's a really good idea too. Although I'm not doing that. This is going to be a small little mini album. It's going to be chunky and filled with all kinds of fun little things as I want to heavily embellish it. And I want to use this stuff. Now I will bring in some other items in addition to this. I don't have a ton, but this is the collection. It's really cute. It's from Simple Stories. And I think I may have linked it in the description, but it's called Heart Eyes, and it's really, really adorable. I also have some things left over from previous Valentine's collection as well that I might use. And then I have some pattern paper and some really old embellishments that were like from Pebbles and some other authentique, I think maybe, that I have stashed away. In fact, I thought I had it out, but maybe I don't. Maybe I put it away. I don't know what I did with it. But anyway, I have some other things in my stash too that I compare with this project and try to get some of those things used up because it's just been sitting around and I want to get it used up. Valentine's theme product is not something that I buy often. So if I'm going to buy it, I'm going to buy it for a specific project. For this live stream and next week as well, I might be working on this for the next 3 live streams, is one of the things I want to do with our live streams is actually showing you how I work through my creative process. How do I start from the beginning to the end of a project? And I'll be sharing a lot more of this type of content with my Patreon community as well. So if you're interested in that type of content and you want exclusive access, I do a lot of behind the scenes with my Patreon community. Make sure you check that out. There is a link below. Memberships start at $5 a month, and we have lots of fun in that community. Lots of great behind the scenes. You get to see a little bit more in depth of my creative process as a patron. And there's going to be a lot of that content this year. So if you're already a patron, look for that. If you want to join, come join us. It's a lot of fun. I also do workshops for my gold and platinum patrons. And we also do creative critique sessions every month as well. So getting back to this, I want for the live streams to kind of show you a little taste of that, of what my creative process is. How do I go about planning a project? What I'm kind of thinking about from a design standpoint whenever I'm working on a scrapbook project. So for this particular project, since I'm making a mini album, I know kind of what I want to do with this one, and I think I'm going to do like a general things that I love. And I usually will do a layout for about Aubrey and I, my spouse and I. We kind of have a bad track record with Valentines. I did a layout called Unvalentines because every Valentine's, with the exception of our daughters, being born, or when I went into labor with our daughter, we've always had a really sucky Valentine. There's always something that happened. So maybe I'll create an album where I talk about our history with Valentine. We're trying to redeem ourselves here. So anyway, I think this one's just going to be a general, what am I loving? And I will add photos to this mini album throughout the month. But right now, let's take it from the very, very beginning. Where do I start whenever I'm creating a project? It all starts with sketching things out. Now, if you've been with me for a while, you know I love to sketch my projects. I like to plan my projects and prep for them because I find that I am a lot more efficient at getting the projects done when I spend some time prepping and planning the project. So that's exactly what I'm going to do for this mini album, okay? So what I'm going to do, yeah, it goes by super fast. Kids growing up, that time goes by super, super fast. All right, so I have the sketchbook. You can pick it up at any craft and hobby store. And what I want to do is sort of get an idea of kind of how I want the look and the feel of this album to be. So I'm just going to do like Valentine mini album so I know what this project is. And I think what I want to do is I have some chipboard material that we purchased for a totally different project that has nothing to do with paper crafting. But Corinne has gotten into cosplay, making her own cosplay costume. She's really into anime. So she's cosplaying an anime character. And she's almost finished with her first make, which took her 6 months to do. And she made it all by hand. It's her first sewing project. But we purchased this chipboard. And I don't even know what weight this is of chipboard, but we thought it was going to be firm enough for her to make some kind of element for her costume. But we have a whole box of it. And so I thought, you know what, if we don't use it for that project, we can use it for other projects that we do, our miniature dioramas or other paper crafting projects, or even if we just need some kind of chipboard, we have it. I have a whole box of it. Then I thought, you know what, this would really work well as a base for my mini album that I can build out the cover as well as some pages and that type of thing with it. So definitely want to use this material. So I'm going to grab a couple of sheets of these. And what I'm thinking as far as size of this layout is I'm thinking I'm going to do roughly a 4x6 layout or a 4x6 album on the, actually, let me zoom in real quick. On the, no, wrong one. On the horizontal. So let's see. I'm still trying to learn how to use this software of mine. I switched to Ecamm last year and I'm trying to learn how to all the bells and whistles. So it would be something like this. And probably I would do some kind of ring system. And I would have to cut this. So this would be the cover. So this would probably be like 4x6 chipboard piece. And then I would allow myself at least 1 to 1.5 inches for the binding. And this is going to be simple binding. I have a cinch machine, but what I want with this particular project is to be able to add pages and take them out. This could also be a disc bound project. I have a little disc, like with Happy Planner or other disc bound, you can just, take the sheets in and out. I do have a little punch for disc bound, but I think I'm going to do ring for this one. And then also with the ring, it'll allow me to tie ribbon to the ring if I want to do that as well. So this would be like the cover. And I would use some chipboard for the cover made out of this material. So we'll do front and then of course back cover. And this would be the spine. So that means that I will have 4 by 6 inches to work with to decorate, plus accounting for the spine. Now I can adjust this a little bit. If I want to make this 4.5 by, maybe to make it a little bit longer, maybe I make it 6.5 by 4.5. My photos themselves are going to probably be slightly smaller than 4 by 6, but we'll see. So this will be the spine, so to speak, right? So this is going to be the back. So front, and then back cover, and then again 4 by 6. I'm working in inches. Chipboard cover. Now this material is thin enough to where I can use it for the pages inside, so I can cover it with pattern paper if I want. So some initial ideas that I have in terms of the pages that I want to make sure that I write down. Now, this planning process is something that I not only do for my scrapbook projects, but I do it for other projects too. So if I'm working on a fiber arts project like cross stitch or embroidery, or if I'm working on my miniature dioramas, then I will first lay out the idea initially just to get those thoughts out of my brain. And then I can go from there. Hey, hello to everyone who's just joined us. Hi guys, we're in the planning process of the Valentine mini. This usually doesn't take me very long to do the planning part of this, unless I'm doing some big extensive project like my Disney album, or something like a huge like vacation project or something like that, or my daughter's baby album. Normally a project like this doesn't usually take me that long. Okay, so the pages, some of my ideas to include the 4 by 6 pages. It can either be chipboard, cardstock. I also want to add in pockets and envelopes, so I have some kind of interactive component in some way that I can flip through, and I can create some mechanism by which those will sit nicely inside the album, but also adjusting to make sure I have room to be able to put them into the little ring binding. Let's see. I also think I want to do some kind of interactive element or elements, like page flip ups out, like flipping, like opening up like a page to reveal something, or flipping up to reveal something. So I give that some thought. This is all just brainstorming, getting this out of my head for right now, these ideas. So I'm actually going to put like page ideas. And then also part of this planning process, what I'll do is I'll look online at like Pinterest or Instagram, or I'll look at YouTube videos for mini albums and kind of gather some information and some ideas of what I might want to include into my mini album. That's why we make this content, right? Okay, so page ideas, 4 by 6 pages using chipboard and cardstock, implementing pockets or envelopes, interactive elements, maybe things that turn, something that's, spins or turns, or in some way like you have to turn it or spin it to reveal something. That could be it. Let's see. Photos. I'll probably do like 3.5 by 5.5 inch photos just to make them a little bit smaller, and I'll resize those using Photoshop or Canva. 3 by 4, whoops, not 3.25, 3 by 4 inch photos as well. I also want to incorporate some stamping into this using metal dies, and so that means I want to make sure that, since this is a Valentine's project, and luckily I already have these set aside because I've been doing some card making, I'm going to reach into my stash and whoops, why does it do that? And I'm going to reach into my stash and grab my Valentine's stamps and dies. And so I have this little organizer here. Hey, hello, Kelly. I have this organizer here that I purchased from Michael's, I believe, and it fits inside of their carts, like their equivalent of a Rascog cart. And I use this to organize some of my stamps, particularly stamps and dies, whenever I'm working on something seasonal. So I already have all the Valentine's stamps and dies that I pulled for various projects that I've been working on lately. So I like to do that when I'm working on something themed. I'll go through and see what other materials that I have, and I'll pull out some functional things that I think I might want to use for this particular project. So I have that already set to the side. So I think as far as the flow of this particular album goes, is each page, so like we have the front and the back cover, this would be like inside cover, and then this would be, so when you open it, you have the inside cover and then page 1. Now, mind you, I'm making this before I commit photos to it, because throughout the month, I will add photos to this album. Once I get it done, I'll add photos to it. And my approach to this is different depending on the project that I'm making. So sometimes I'll create a mini album with photos in mind. And so I'll go ahead and resize and print the photos, so then I'll know how big I need the album to be, and what, if I'm using pocket pages or whatever, then I know what I need to use. This one I'm creating knowing that I'm going to have at least, at minimum, 3.5 by 5.5 inch photos and 3 by 4 inch photos. So I want to make sure that the pages are large enough to accommodate those photos. And then when I'm adding photos and stories in and decorating the album, then I know I've already designed it so I can account for that to be there. At this point, I could just kind of think and preliminarily sort of sketch out what I think I want a page to be, page to look like. I'm also going to do another little design note. I want to do some vellum pockets in this too. So we have the inside cover, and the binding, and then page 1. And then you flip the page. And I think that for this album, I'm probably going to do, I'm thinking 10 pages might do. I'm trying to think that through. Let's see. So we flip it, then we flip the other page. Rough sketch. Page number 2, and then page number 3. And then this way, now I have it all sketched out, then I can go through and kind of play with whatever that preliminary design of the pages that I want based on some of the ideas that I have. So page number 4, page number 5. Now, while I'm sketching this out, tell me in the comment section, do you plan out your scrapbook projects, whether they're scrapbook layouts or mini albums or just your regular albums? Do you plan it, and what is your process? For some people, they just like to go grab their supplies and just do the thing, right? They don't want to do any of the pre-planning and stuff like that. They just want their creativity to fly. For some of us, maybe you're kind of somewhere in the middle. You kind of do kind of a skeleton plan and then you dig in. For others of us, we like to have kind of a solid plan, or at least some type of plan going in. So let me know in the comments, in the chat, do you not plan? Do you somewhat plan? Or do you actually do a full out plan for your projects? I'm going to finish sketching this out real quick. I think 10 to 12 pages will probably be enough for this mini album. I do want to also make sure that I have room in here for the interactive pieces. Like if I want to add in a picture, but I attach the picture to a pocket or something, or I have a picture coming out or journaling coming out of a pocket or something, or I add tags or something like that, or some kind of interactive something or the other. Deborah says, I don't pre-plan. Alicia says, if doing a themed album, start with picks, choose papers, choose embellishments, then you scrap. Mary says some planning. Kimberly says that she does not do any pre-planning. Let's see. Paper Beats Rocks Design says, I brain dump my ideas in a notebook, but for the most part, I'm winging it. Nothing wrong with that. What type of binding are you going to do? Says Kelly. I'm going to do a ring binding, just a regular little circle ring. Sometimes I plan a bit, not often. Hey, Gemma, she says, plan things out in my head. I like to have a clear idea of what my finished layout will look like beforehand. Yeah. Dee Dee says in the middle, whoa, they're going back too fast. Like, stop, comments, hold up. Let me read. In the middle, sometimes I visualize my layout. I'm in the middle. Okay, good. Never planned, but something I'd like to learn. Don't plan ahead. For me, it depends on the project. For my everyday pages, I scrap on the fly. I kind of do that too for just everyday projects. Yeah. More recent days, somewhat pre-planned. Thanks to your ideas. Oh, Chandra, I'm glad to hear that. Susan says, no pre-planning for me. Diane says, my son is one and only two. Oh yeah, you guys are talking about your kiddos. Okay. So anyway, depending on the project, will depend on if I need to, what level of pre-planning I need to do. So for a project like this, I like to have a visual of how I want to lay it out. So I'm not like hemming and humming about the project. Sometimes if I'm just working on a project, like just a regular layout, then I might do a quick little sketch, like on a Post-it note, just so I can get the idea out of my head, and then I'll work on it. Other times I like to take my time and kind of plan it out. So like this project, I definitely want to plan out. All right. So inside cover, page 1, page 2, 3, page 4, 5, page 6, 7, page 8, 9, and then we'll have page 10. And then I'll do, this will be back cover, but then maybe some kind of pocket of some sort here. Now that I have kind of a skeleton idea of how I want this to look, then what I can do is, as I'm looking at the materials that I'm using and designing the layout, I can go through and start designing the pages that I want. So I know in the inside cover, I want, of course it's going to be covered pattern paper, but I want some kind of element here. So maybe that's going to be like a little heart or something. And I have that layered, and maybe I have the year or something here. And by the way, I don't do a lot of decorating on the outside cover of my albums because I found over the years that those elements tend to fall off. This particular album is something that I would display. So I would want the album to be displayed. And then when, like during, February or whatnot. But when it's not displayed, then I want to make sure that it's protected in some way. So I'm going to figure that out. Yeah, you can definitely do a waterfall. Absolutely. Can absolutely do a waterfall. So I have some kind of design here with the year 2023 inside the front cover of some sort, and then some pattern paper would go, here, obviously. And then page 1, I think what I want is like story photo to follow in that suit. So I could probably do, what I'm thinking is do some kind of tag that would go inside here with some kind of title, and then some journaling. And then there would be a photo that would go here with some kind of decorative element. You flip the page, and then maybe there's like a photo here with some kind of layered embellishment here. Photo. P stands for photo. I don't mind layering on top of my photos, so that'd be fun. And so I could create some kind of cluster so it looks like I've tucked the photo there in some way. Um, this one could be like, I have some kind of pocket here, but then there's a tab and there's hidden journaling, so you can like pull out the journaling, and then maybe there's a 3x4 photo here. This could be 4x6 or 3.5x5, whatever that size is going to be. And there can be a little photo here, and there's some embellishing here or whatever. Maybe there's some labels or something here. And by the way, I'm not all, just because I'm doing this planning doesn't mean that it's going to stay this way, right? Like I have an idea of, something that I'm working off of, but when I start creating, I could totally change my idea, right? You have a theme that you go off of, plan for crops, but wing it when I'm done, when I'm alone. Yeah, I plan for crops too, mainly because I want to maximize that time that I have. Diane says, I like how you're doing this ahead. I think I might try this with Project Done. Oh yeah, absolutely. So for those of you who are in my Project Done class this spring, we just started. Today's February 1st. Let me move my box of chipboard out of the way. I'm going to sit down now since I'm doing all this planning. If you're in my Project Done class, this is a really good opportunity for you to, a technique for you to plan out your project that you're going to work on for the next 12 weeks. So yeah, very good. Erlinda says, thanks for sharing your system. It makes a lot of sense and very practical. Thank you. And you know what? Here's the thing. As a maker, sometimes we just want to sit down and create, and that's perfectly fine. Like, I'm not suggesting that you need to do like this level of planning for all of your projects, but but I think the point is just getting the ideas out of your head and then putting it on paper definitely helps. Flip the page. I'm thinking maybe I do something with like a little like semicircle insert or something like that. I don't draw very well. And then maybe there's something here like a title of some sort, and then some journaling, and then underneath that would be a photo. Maybe we do a semicircle that's surrounded with hearts or something like that. I also like to make little notes to the side so I know what my little scribbles are. That can be a cluster. Layered design. You do whatever makes sense to you, right? This is a cluster. And goodness knows I definitely have a bunch of embellishments. Maybe this is a border of hearts that surrounds with a semicircle. And then this is a photo. So that'd be fun. And then maybe we can do some kind of interactive something here. I don't really know how to sketch that out, but my idea being that this sort of, I'm just going to put arrows here, folds out to reveal I'm going to put like, that would be a flap. And this would be a flap. I can't spell flap. And there could be journaling and then a photo here. Maybe we'll call this a fold out, a flip out, fold out, whatever. I know what I'm talking about. Would go here. Maybe there's some kind of little something that holds that there with some little Velcro, like a Velcro, like a little heart, and then you open it and then it opens up like that. You know what I mean? Okay. I'm visualizing this right now. Opens. Put Velcro. I do have some Velcro, a Velcro snap that'll go there. Ooh, guys, you know what I was thinking? Like, for this album, maybe for the front cover to be in, when I close it, there could be like a ribbon of some sort. Like, this is my ribbon. That's a ribbon. Oh, I'm telling you, I'm not that great of a drawer. I try. So that can be like a ribbon. Okay. This is also why I like to write things out, because then I get ideas and I can write them down. I don't commit anything to memory because I'll totally forget. Usually add a waterfall to the back front cover or the front back cover. Love adding waterfalls. I'm going to put that down in one of my ideas. Waterfalls are a little challenging for me to create because I don't always see it visually. Like, I see people make it. Like, I definitely would have to watch a YouTube video and be like, how does one make a waterfall? And I've made them before, but it's not something that I've made in a long time. I don't make with any level of regularity. Okay, so I kind of like the idea of the flip out situation. I want to do a pocket, and I saw this really fun idea, and I want to say it was one of my buddies who was on the December Daily design team. I can't remember, but they did this pocket, and it had different levels with tabs, and you just pull them out, and each I'll just put pocket, and those are tabs, and you just pull it out to reveal a photo and a story. So I'll have to go back and watch the December Daily. I think it was December Daily prep or product play or something. I didn't watch it this past year, but I'm gonna have to go. I have access to the class, so I need to go and watch that. But it was such a really great idea. And then maybe there's some embellishing there, like a little cluster or something here. But you make this pocket, and you can make it out of vellum or whatever sturdy substrate. And then you have these little cards that you make and you pull out. And like on one side it has the photo, on the other side it has journaling. So I thought that was really cool. So I definitely want to do some kind of pocket there. And then maybe we have some type of waterfall of some sort. I'm going to have to play with that idea because I'm forgetting how to make a waterfall at the moment. So I'm just going to put something here to represent waterfall. That's a good idea. Thank you for reminding me of that. I'm going to put a question mark. So, you like pull a little thing and then all your photos flip up, which is a lot of fun. Maybe on one of the pages, I can do something that, another one of these that has an attached something, and then you open it to reveal like another flip out. These are all my preliminary ideas. So then I also want to do one that does like pocket and tag. So there's like 3 maybe on the page. And then you have your little pocket with your tags. And then those would have like some kind of fiber on it with some kind of embellishing that'll go there. Pocket and tags. Something like that. I'm thinking. Yeah, corner pockets for sure. Yeah. Erlinda, I will be showing the process for these pages too in upcoming live, so don't you worry. Don't you worry. Alrighty, I definitely know that I want to do some kind of little pocket. Usually when I make a mini album, I'll do some kind of pocket here that I can put something in. So if I want to put like memorabilia, like if Brie and I go on a date or something, if there's something in our date that I want to put like a little ticket or something in there, this will be for memorabilia. Valentine something, notes or something I can put in there. Thank you so much, Diana. I appreciate that. So this is going to be some kind of pocket of some sort for the back cover. And I do that in a lot of my mini albums. So I have a place to put little things, right? You know, we all have those little somethings for in our minis, depending on the theme of our minis, that we might want to keep. So I put a little pocket at the back. And then this page here, I'm thinking I might want to do another one of those where I have a little pocket here, and then I can have journaling inside. Like this is a pocket, and we'll have journaling. And then there's some kind of a photo of some sort here. The cool thing about making mini albums these days is it used to be when we made mini albums, before we had all this wonderful technology, that you were either hand trimming your photos, like hand cropping your photos, but we now have all this fantastic technology, apps and Photoshop and all these great things that we can resize and do all kinds of fun stuff with our photos to make them fit the projects that we want. So anyway, this is going to probably be a photo 3x4. Okay. So far in this planning session, it took me about, I'm going to say probably about 30 minutes conservatively, if that, because I chatted a little bit before I got started. Let me zoom out just a little bit. So I came up with the idea that I'm going to do a 4x6 mini album. It's going to use just ring binding. And we have chipboard material that we're going to use as the base of the album. It's going to be roughly 10 pages. And there might be some other little interactive inserts and things that I put in this album too. So a lot of this is going to be kind of a game time decision, but at least I have an idea of what I kind of potentially want this to look like. Page ideas, pockets using vellum, maybe some other substrates that I have. Maybe I'll incorporate some what am I thinking? Oh goodness. What type of material am I thinking here? Fabric. Oh Lord, why can't I think of that? Fabric. I'm always buying fabric. Fabric, envelopes, interactive elements like flip ups, flip outs. We'll probably incorporate photos of various sizes, probably 3.5 by 5.5 inches. And then of course, 3x4 inch. There could be some that are smaller than that. Like a 2x2 to fit, depending on what I do with this album. Stamping, I want to do some stamping in here. We also talked about some waterfalls. I might create a waterfall as well, depending on the number of photos that I use. But you don't always have to use photos for your waterfalls either. It can be a spot for embellishing and that type of thing. So I would say that this is a really, really good start. Now, I know for some people, they don't do this level of planning, and I'm not saying do this for all your projects, but every now and then it helps to kind of imagine what your project might look like. This is quite impressive, but too much planning for me makes my head want to explode. My planning is making page kits and then grabbing a sketch. And you know what? I think that's a good point, that not everybody's planning is like this. Everybody's planning is different. For some people, their idea is in their head and then they execute the plan that's in their head. For others, it's grabbing a sketch and some coordinating materials and some photos, and that's the extent of your planning, and that's great. For other people, it's literally sketching out the flow of a project, and because you need to get that out of your head before you begin, and that's cool too. So, and you know, I don't do this level of planning for every project, but for mini albums, I do, because I like to try to figure out a flow for my project. Hey Trish, what's going on? I love using sketches. Yeah, Deborah. I love using sketches because it takes that design work, that guesswork, out of the equation whenever you're working on a project. I forgot to pop myself up here. Pocket with the layered tabs. I know, I'm really excited to see how that one comes out. Oh, I'm gonna have to check that out. Tamara, I'll have to check her out on that one. Yeah. Let me write her name down. YouTube video. Sounds familiar. I may have watched some of her videos. Actually. I'm gonna put tutorial. Also, with this, I like to write down places where I can find info for stuff. Yeah. I'm going to learn planning from Victoria as well. Yes. Where to begin sometimes. Listen to her process right now. So I'm so glad that you like that. I'm so glad. This helps Oh, slant pockets. Yeah, that's another good idea. Yeah, give me more of your ideas. I love it. Slant pockets. I love it. And this is why I do pre-planning for this, because if I start just making this project, which I could just, just start and just do the project. And I have. But sometimes there are just so many techniques, and I can't do all the techniques in the album, but I will forget. I try not to commit things to memory. So I will forget what it is that I wanted to do in my album, which is why I sketch it out so I don't forget. I write those notes down. Done, buddy? Okay. All right. Yeah. Okay, so now it's time to play. Now it's time to figure out some stuff. So now I got my sketch down. I do know that I want to use some of this chipboard material, and I think what I'm going to do to make this a sturdier album, I think I'm going to use this. Oh yeah, glassine bags. That's another one. I have a bunch of those. Thank you. I'll write that down, Alicia. Thank you. I have a bunch of those. That'd be great to make little pockets and things like that. Absolutely. Okay, Vicky, you don't spell bags with an E. Lord Jesus. I swear I am an educated person, I promise. Okay. All right, so I'm thinking this is thin enough. This is not super thick chipboard, as you can see, but this is thin enough where I can use this as the base for my pages. So what I'm going to do is create a template. And this is something that I like to do often whenever I'm working with a mini album and making it, if I'm not making it using like a 6x8 album or an album that's already made, when I'm making it all the elements, then I like to create a template. So let's do, this is not going to work. Let's do this. Okay. So I think what I want to do is if I cut this to 7, then let's see here. I don't like working in complicated numbers, so I don't like that. So I usually try to use pretty round numbers. And we're just going to then what we'd have here is where the rings will go. And I'm just kind of, again, making a template. So that's 7, and that's 6. Then I think what I want to do, now that I'm thinking about this, I made this 4.5 to allow some space here for like border or whatnot. But then I would also need to make, okay, so let me reconfigure this again. This is why I do a template, because I'm trying to work this out in my head. I'm going to do 7. Let's do 7.5. And then we'll do 4.5. We'll do a 1 inch. When I see people making really super complicated albums and they have all these super complicated measurements, I'm like, what's the quarter of an inch? What's an eighth of an inch? What's a, do this, cut this at 5/8 of a blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, why can't it just be 7 inches? Okay, so this piece here is 1 inch. So this is 1 inch. This part here is 6.5 inches by 4.5 inches going, well, 4.5 inches by 6.5. And the reason I did that is because when I put, let me find my template here. I have little templates that I use whenever I'm making sketches so I can make sure photos can fit on the layouts I'm designing. I just make these out of cardstock. This is something I've been doing for years and years. So when I put my 4x4, if I use a 4x6 inch photo, then I know that I have a border around it. So it's not going from edge to edge. So that's why I did it that way. Let me grab some markers real quick. Okay, so this is 1 inch. Just to make sure I remember what I did, I cut this, the width of this chipboard. And I also do this in the event that I want to replicate this. So this is 7.5, the complete, right? The width of this is 1 inch. Then this part here, to allow for my photos, is 6.5 inches. This here is 4.5, going that way. Then I have my spine. Okay. So front cover. This is why I plan, because and I do templates. Uh-oh, what's wrong with my thing? Come on, little hole punchy. All right. And then I think I'm just going to oh, come on. There we go. I think I'm going to put the holes here. Okay. So now I make sure that because I cut it a 1/2 inch bigger, I want to accommodate for that 4x6 inch photo. Yeah. So there we go. Okay. So this is why I plan. Now, I'm not the world's best mathematician, right? I do all right. I was a soft science major. My major didn't include a lot of math. All right, so this is the front cover. I have friends that are brilliant minds. I'm married to someone who's great at math. Me, I'm like, I don't know. All right. So this would be back cover. Outside of doing this live, this process usually doesn't take me very long when I'm not, recording this or just doing this live and demonstrating. Okay, so what I then want, this will be, where'd my marker go? Back cover. I've had this Felicity Jane ruler for like ever and a day. I probably had it when I actually received it when I was on the design team years ago. And I've had it ever since then. It's a handy little ruler. Which, by the way, they officially closed their doors. So, Felicity Jane is no more. Okay, so front cover, back cover. There we go. All right, now, let me grab real quick the rings I'm going to use. I actually, what did I do with those? I just bought them. What did I do with them? Oh, I know what they're doing. I know where they're at. Hold on. Just a second. Coming back. Okay. I have a drawer that I organized that says tools. And where did I put them? I put them where my tools are. So I have a little box that has a bunch of little knicky-knacks and whatnot. So I have some Velcro that I can use for snap or openings and things of that nature. I have some little extra rings and things in here. This is magnetic tape. I don't use it. It's not that strong. So I don't use it for projects like this. I also have these little charms or whatnot. So that could be cute. I can make a little charm for my album. This is from Tim Holtz Ideology. So I'm going to set that to the side. Okay, so I definitely want to pull that out. Now, I went to the Dollar Tree, and guess what? You can get book rings at the Dollar Tree for $1, which is great. So I grabbed some 1.5 inch and some 2 inchers. So I think for this one, I'm going to start out with 1.5 inch. I might move up to 2 inches, just depending on how thick this thing gets, because she might be a big one. She might be a big girl, but we'll see. Okay. So, people ask what I'm going to use. I'm going to use these rings. And I'm putting this together now so I can kind of see what it's going to look like. Now, this is going to fill out, obviously, once I put everything together. But I like the ring idea because I want to leave myself the opportunity to add any like ribbon or fibers to make that really cute for the ring. I could use a different ring system. I could create my own spine, which is a little bit more involved, where you measure out your pattern paper and you do the little inserts for the spines and the paper such, and that's great. And people do that. I like simple binding techniques. Some people like to sew. Some people use the rings like I do. You can use your cinch if you want to. There's lots of different ways that you can create binding for your album. Now, I also want to make sure that I have plenty of room. So if she gets big, then there's a lot of space here for her to expand and get big. All right. So this is our template for the album. So what I need to do then is select what pattern papers I want to use. And this is the really super fun part. So, well, all of this is really fun, in my opinion. So we got our chipboard. We have our template. And then I can just keep this if I want to redo this or do another one of these albums that I'm not guessing on the measurements. So some of this work is very useful up front on the front end, so then you don't have to worry about it on the back end. Okay. All right. So I'm going to put some of these little materials to the side. If you are liking this not behind the scenes, but this closer look at this process, let me know in the chat. And if you want more of this type of thing, consider becoming a patron. My Patreon community gets a behind the scene look at a lot of my processes. I also have started doing mini vlogs for my Patreon community, in addition to exclusive process videos and that type of thing. That's a great place to, one of the things that I like for people that I support on Patreon is to see their process, to see their thought processes, and for them to share a little bit more closely as to what they're making, what they're working on, what are some of their challenges, that type of thing. So we said we're going to do 10 pages. So I'm just going to cut out 10 pages of this chipboard. And then what I'll do is I'll come in and measure the spines and all that. So that way each page will go into the album nicely. Now, any other element that I use, like if I use a pocket or that type of thing, I have these little, what are they called? I always forget what they're called. They're from Citrus Twist, but you can put them on anything you want to insert into an album, and it has little holes in it. I can certainly make my own too. So anyway, I'm going to cut out these, but first I want to go through my pattern paper before I cut any more of those up. So, I'm going to use the pattern paper from this kit. And if you're a pattern paper junkie, you're going to love this. Now, here's the thing. I think that, oh yeah, I can definitely use the 6x8 pattern paper too. Then I have my scraps. So I want to use my scraps for sure. Sticker sheet. Let me know if you like this type of thing. This is what I kind of, like, lives are great for, like, you know, seeing people make stuff, but I like this. I like the process. I enjoy the process. All right, here's some more scraps. So when I'm working with using my stash, I definitely want to use my scraps for sure. So I'm going to use these here for certain. Definitely the text paper, but let me see if I have any that I've already cut. Okay. All right, so I want to use this too. And we're doing front and back, so I need at least, you know, I can use the B sides of these two. I like that heart paper. And this is just for covering those pages that I'm going to create. And some of these I'm going to use for other purposes. Look at these tags. Yeah, I'm definitely going to be using these for sure. Oh, and then there's some ones here that I can do some journaling on, so that's going to be fun. This is nice. Look at all that. That's all excellent fodder for this project. That'll be great. I'm going to use that. I'm looking for pattern papers that'll work great for a background, for covering a page, but offer different designs. And I think I may have 2 of each pattern paper, which is great. I love this ticket. I'm definitely going to probably fussy cut those. I love this floral. It's pretty. Okay. So happy together. Love that. Love this stripe. I can't look at that too much because it makes me dizzy. But I like that in small quantities. I love it in small quantities. Okay, and then this one here, I have an idea for this one. I think I'm just going to save. Okay, so all of these papers are really super cute. Honestly, this is not something I probably would have purchased, but now that I have it, because I didn't have to purchase it. I mean, I love simple stories, but I like, and pink is great. Like, pink is great for Valentine's and, you know, all that stuff. But I tend to go for a little bit more muted colors sometimes, but that's okay. This is really cute. It's a fun collection. There's not very much stuff out of Simple Stories I don't like. I love Simple Stories. Okay, so I've got some pattern papers here that are just gorgeous, just fun. We're just going to use this side of the pattern paper. And I have 2 of each, which is really great. And I have the 6x8 paper pad too that features the patterns smaller, which is really cool as well. So I could use that for this project too. So I think what I'll do, now that I have my papers selected, let's go ahead and get this out. Now, what I'm wondering is if I want to do pattern paper up to, like, do up into the spine and then do the spine in like a solid pattern or a solid color, or do pattern all the way for the whole entire 7.5 inch page and cover. The papers are so cute. They are adorable. Oh yeah, absolutely. So the question is the pattern paper just going to come up to the spine, and then I do either another pattern or solid here on the spine, or do the entire piece in the pattern paper? How about I just do one to find out? How about we do that? So I'm going to trim this. Will it trim 6.5? It will. I'm going to test something out here. And I'm not going to cover all these papers during this live. I'm just going to do a couple. And then next week, we'll continue on. Okay. So I would have this, and then I can come in with like maybe this stripe and then do 1 inch by 4.5. Oh yeah, I think I like that. I think I really like that look. Yeah, I think I'm going to do that look. Or solid, right? You can do washi tape on the spine too, absolutely. Depending on the washi tape. That's also a really good idea. Yeah. Yep, I think I'm going to go with this route. So let's just go ahead and build it out real quick. Let me build out one page and then I kind of have an idea of where I want to go. When I'm working on mini albums, I'm going to need my Big Mama adhesive. So let me grab, I forgot to get my adhesive, grab my adhesive gun. So let me do that real quick. Hang on. Okay. I've got the Scotch tape runner. Oh, come on, tape. You coming out? Don't film it now. There we go. Can also use liquid adhesive if you want. Your ATGs, whatever you want. Whatever you have, right? I think I'm going to switch to a different one. I have another one. This one I forgot I don't particularly care for. All right. Once I have all the pages covered, then I'll go through and punch all the holes for the binding. Another option, and I used to do this a lot, is to adhere the chipboard to the paper and then trim the paper. That's another option. And then I'm also, what I'm going to do is, and I think I might do this before I cover each of the pages. So because I'm using chipboard, you'll be able to see that chipboard here on the edge. And so what I think what I'll do is either paint the chipboard before I cover it with the paper. I have some acrylic paint, or do some inking with some distress ink. I don't think I want to distress the pages. I just want to cover up the chipboard brown. Like I could go through and distress ink and cover all that up, but I think I'm either going to paint it so that the edges of the paper are all one color, or I'm going to come and do some distress ink before I cover it with the pages, because I don't want to do a distress look on this particular project. Okay, so then how about we do, yeah, I'm definitely going to use a different tape runner, I think for sure. I forgot why I don't use this one, because I don't particularly care for it. It's kind of stringy. You see that? I don't really like that. I can't really get up to the edges very good. I could use liquid adhesive too. That's another option. You just want to make sure that you smooth your pages so you don't have any buckling from the adhesive. You could also do this without the chipboard that I'm using. I've done mini albums where I've just only had the pattern paper as the base, but I use a nice strong pattern paper. Oh yeah. That's cute. And then if I want to cover the spine here, like this, cover this, I'm sorry, the joint, I can cover that too. Oh, that's so pretty. That's pretty. How about we cover the back? Let me see, do I have a pattern that's going in the horizontal here? Some of these patterns here on the 6x8 are going in the vertical. I could use the stripe because it's a smaller pattern. So you could just adhere your chipboard and then trim it out that way if you want, using a paper trimmer or using your cutting knife. All right, so let's see. just doing my test paper here. So we're going to cut that to 6.5 by 4.5. But now that I have this page, so I'm going to turn it. So then this piece goes here, and then the spine piece goes here. What's on the back of this? I don't really like it going that way, but we could definitely work it that way. Okay, so let me adhere this piece on. I've seen some really beautiful ways in which people accent their pages in their mini albums. One of the creators that I absolutely love in her mini album projects is Paige Evans, and she does a lot of stitching and such on her pages, which are great. She's like the queen of binding, book binding. I love it. I could use this other little scrappy piece, or I could use something different. I kind of like the text on that with that red. That's pretty. Or I could use that. That's the B side of this. I think I kind of like that. That's really nice. That's 4.5. By 1 inch. Okay. And that, oops, I trimmed that too short. That's okay. Do I have another piece of that? I trimmed it a little bit too short. If not, I'll use the red. No big deal. Oh, wait, there's polka dot. Oh, yeah, let's do polka dot. Polka dot. Let's do a polka dot. Okay. Trim that out. Make sure I'm getting that measurement right. Yeah, 4.5. Okay. There we go. Oh, that's pretty. I like that. I love a good black and white with color. Love it, love it, love it. Okay. There's that. Okay, so that is going to be super cute once all those pages are covered, for sure. I like that. I love the patterns. I love pattern paper. I'm like a pattern paper junkie. Then I can use my template once I'm sure I know where I want the holes to be, and then I'll punch the holes in it. So I usually save that till last so I can make sure that's where I want them to be. Very, very cool. So I would just repeat that for the rest of the pages. Yeah. Let me see. Da, 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 da. Thank you. Like the paper trimmer. Are you happy with it? As I'm not getting as many good cuts with my current trimmer. This particular paper trimmer, yes, this is from We Are Memory Keepers, which is now We Are Makers. Did you see their rebranding? They just announced on Instagram, We Are Memory Keepers is now We Are Makers, to encompass the variety of different makers and projects and things people make with their products. So We Are Makers, formerly We Are Memory Keepers, makes this trimmer. I absolutely love it. It has, the blade's pretty solid. And of course you can score with it, and has a scoring tool right down here. But I really like it. It's one of my favorite go-to trimmers. Yeah, the 12 by 12 inch. Absolutely. I love them. They're really, really good. And then I also use the tonic trimmer, the guillotine trimmer, when I'm doing more precision trimming. So yeah. Okay, so now that I kind of have the lay of the land here of what I want to do, I want to cut all the rest of the chipboard pages, 7.5 by 4.5. And then what I'll do is I'll decide whether I want to ink my edges using Distress ink, or if I'm going to paint them using acrylic paint, so that the edges aren't just this chipboard exposed here. And then I'll cover them with the pattern paper. So for those of you who are my patrons, you'll get to see the behind the scenes of that process. For next week's live, all the pages will be covered, and then it's going to be time to start adding all the decorative elements to the pages. So if you're a Patreon member, if you want to become a Patreon member, sign up, join us. I'm going to be I'll film this rest of this process. I'm going to pop it up in my Patreon as exclusive. And then next week, join me, because then I'm going to be using these elements to start planning out the embellishments and stuff and the decor on the pages. So I have chipboard pieces, I have die cuts. So this is where all the super fun starts coming in, using all these really fun die cuts. Look at that. Isn't that fun? Then I can take a picture behind there. There's a gummy bear. You know I'm going to have to use a gummy bear. I don't eat gummy bears, but my family does, but they're cute, so I have to put them on there. The little kissing booth. I mean, how cute will that be with some layered elements? You know, right? Just kind of layer that up. Absolutely. That'd be really cute. So next week is going to be about putting the elements on the page. So that should be a lot of fun. So come join me for that next week, 2:00 p.m. Central Standard Time. Let me know in the chat section, has seeing the planning process sort of inspired you to do the same, or at least to think about how you approach your projects maybe differently. I love planning. I love then taking my plans and executing the plans. What I'm going to do next, and I think I'll probably do this after, or I'm going to actually film this for my patrons, but I'm going to cut out the rest of the pages, and then I'll figure out how I'm going to be treating the edges of them. Drop your questions in the chat before we finish up today. Couple of tips for you. If you are, and this is for folks who don't mind planning, but I do highly recommend that you create, whenever you're doing an album project like this, that you create a template and that you take the time to measure things out, because time and time again, I have made projects and I wasn't paying attention to the measurements, and I cut all the pages and I do all the things only to find out that I've messed up along the way. And that happens. But when you create the template and you take a time just to do some quick, easy measurements, then you have it already set. So if you want to redo this project, or you want to do another similar project, then you have the template ready to go. Another thing, if I can impress upon you, is this may not be for every project, but if you take a little time to do a little sketch, or to grab a pre-made sketch or whatnot to help you plan your projects, what it does is it helps to eliminate the guesswork whenever you're getting ready to start a project, which is why when I work on mini albums, when I'm designing one, I like to sketch everything out and make a list of the ideas or the techniques or whatnot that I want to do, so that I'm not searching for that information when I'm actually sitting down to do the project. And then, of course, do a little test run, because sometimes, we can overthink this thing, right? Like, will this look good? Will this look good? I don't know. Make a page, see if it's gonna work. And so this particular idea of only covering 6.5 inches of the page with one pattern paper, and then doing the spine in another pattern paper. This could be whatever else. This could be fabric, ribbon, washi tape, or whatnot. I like this look, but I would not have known that had I not tried it out. And I've got plenty of this chipboard, so if I messed it up, I could, just start over. But now I kind of have this guide as to how all the rest of the pages are going to look, alternating the different pattern papers. And I'm starting to visualize where I might want to put certain elements, where I want to put a pocket, that type of thing. Also, at this point, the next part of this is, as I'm pulling together more supplies, I did decide that, of course, I'm going to use some interactive elements in this. So I'm going to grab some things from my stash. I'm going to see if I have some tags, see if I have some pockets. I definitely have plenty of vellum to do that large vellum pocket that I want to use. Different ribbons, different fibers, that type of thing. If I need to go purchase something, which I don't think I do, I'll put that on my list. But I'm going to start pulling in some other elements now that I have my base elements selected, that I can incorporate into this project. Okay, so this was part one. If you like planning, that's what this was all about. Join me next week, because we're actually going to start putting things on the pages and start building those out. Which will be a lot of fun. And if you want to create a similar project like this, by all means, I would love to see it. Let's see. Enjoy watching you play. Not enabling today. Stay warm. Not enabling. No, but you know I love to, because that's my love language. Need to get a sketchbook. Absolutely. Get yourself an inexpensive sketchbook. Yeah. Yeah, get yourself an inexpensive sketchbook for sure, and just do the thing. It could just be a notebook too. Like, you don't need a fancy sketchbook. Just grab yourself a notebook or a sticky note or something, right? Just getting into planning. I have found my frustration level going down when I'm working the real project. Yeah. And a lot of times when you're sketching and you're planning, it will decrease the frustration and the hesitancy about the project. So yeah, you're absolutely welcome, Barb. Love this and love this idea. Absolutely. Thank you so much, Alicia. Helped me greatly, as I don't have good organizational skills, which causes anxiety starting a project. Absolutely. You just take it one little step at a time, right? Thank you. One step at a time. And sometimes for me, the ideas, when I sit down with a pen and paper, I may be watching TV or listening to music or whatever, and I just let the ideas flow on paper. There's something about getting out of my brain and on paper in some way. And it doesn't have to be like this. It can be whatever works, whatever works for you. But this definitely is helpful for me and for a lot of folks. Yeah. They're going to start planning more, especially big projects. Yeah. For some of us, we only do this for big projects or projects like this. I don't always do this for like smaller projects, but for projects like this, I definitely do that. You're enabling me. I'm going to go do one also. Absolutely. I love our lunchtime meetings too. It's going to be great. It's so great. Like to get the composition notebooks. Yeah, from the dollar store. Absolutely. Thanks, Susan. Oh, I appreciate it, guys. I appreciate it. Okay, so if you have any other questions, just pop it in the comments section. We'll be back next week. We're going to do part 2 of our Valentine mini album project. I hope you're inspired to create. And you know what? You could do this for any theme, right? Whatever you like. Using supplies from your stash, which I want to underscore that I'm using everything from my stash. So I didn't buy anything new for this at all. So I hope you're inspired. If you're a patron, look for a behind the scenes, kind of an extended cut of this live, where I'm going to do a little bit more in terms of prep for this album. If you want to become a patron, the link's down below, so you can check out all the information and get some of that exclusive content. And apart from that, guys, I'm going to continue working on this. If you have any questions, post them in the comments section. I'll see you next week for part 2. I hope you have a fabulous rest of your week. And for those of you like me that are experiencing inclement weather, stay safe. Everyone in general, stay safe. And I'll see you next week. Give this live a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Don't forget to subscribe. Thanks so much, guys. Have a good one.